Hi, good afternoon. Valerie Milano here, the entertainment coordinator for the Hollywood Times and also with Inspiring Magazine. I'm here in Palm Springs, California right now, and I am so thrilled to have my guest here today. I'm going to have you introduce yourself, please.
Hello, I'm Louisa Connolly Burnham. I am zooming in from LA and I wrote, directed, produced, and starred in the film The Intimacy Coordinator.
Yes, you did. And you have been in a lot of film festivals, but we will talk about that in just a minute, Louisa. The premise of this is instantly provocative. An intimacy coordinator who is secretly a sex addict. Where did that idea come from?
Well, there's a lot of fascination at the moment around the role of the intimacy coordinator. It seems like a bit of a hot button topic. So I figured if people saw it, particularly from within our industry, that they would be intrigued by it. But I don't really feel like the film is about intimacy coordinating. To me, it feels like a film about loneliness and a desire for connection. Um, and where that can drive us, which is kind of a running theme through a lot of my films. So I kind of like merged those two things together and made the intimacy coordinator. I wanted to make something in London, my city. I wanted to make a thriller because I've made a lot of dramas and I'm actually a really big fan of the thriller horror genre. So I wanted to make something that leaned a little bit more into that and make something different to my last film, Sister Wives.
Good job. Yes, I love that theme as well. And your character, Kate, she spends her professional life creating boundaries and protecting other people while privately struggling with her own compulsions.
Mm.
Was that contradiction the heart of the character for you?
Well, I definitely knew that the contradiction would be engaging for audiences because even when you just read the log line, Kate is an intimacy coordinator. She is also a sex addict. It's it's quite funny, and I think that immediately you kind of want to see what that looks like. But yeah, we explore boundaries, we explore abuse of power. I feel like we've seen a lot of media, films, telly, books, theatre about men in positions of power that abuse it, but we don't often see women doing it. And we absolutely can do it. And we are flawed and we are fallible. And I wanted to make a film about a naughty girl who is making very dark and dangerous decisions and is ultimately taking advantage of people.
The film is sexy, it's dark and uncomfortable without feeling sensationalized. How did you find the right balance in portraying sex addiction and intimacy?
To be honest, it was very tricky, and there were bits in the script that we shot that I cut out of the edit. There were a few things that happened in the SAA meeting. So that's the Sex Addicts Anonymous meeting part of the film. There were a couple of characters in the script that were there on the day, and we shot them and we shot their moments, but they were almost leaning into slapstick a little bit too much. And I think that the humor in the intimacy coordinator is subtle. And I think it has to be subtle because even though there are moments where we laugh, it is very serious what we're dealing with. And SAA is a really fantastic organization that is really helping people and saving lives and educating. So I didn't want to make a mockery of that. But it was definitely tricky. It was we are towing the line of drama and comedy and thriller, and you don't want to lean too much into one. You want to keep it super balanced and also keeping Kate at all likable was very hard, both in the writing and in the execution, because obviously she ends up making a lot of really bad decisions. So to try and keep the audience's empathic side with us, with Kate, with their protagonist on her journey, that was a bit of a tightrope as well.
Yeah, it's hard not to give away spoilers, and I promise you I won't.
I know it's tricky.
Um, and you spoke about earlier where you came up with this idea, but intimacy coordinators have become such an important and sometimes debated part of filmmaking. Were you interested in challenging some of the assumptions people have about that job? What that job actually involves.
I'm very, very for intimacy coordinators. I now find it quite astounding that they haven't always been there. They've only really been, I think, around since like 2017 is when the role kind of came to be. But I have been an actress for 20 years, and there were intimate scenes that I did many, many years ago when I was younger that there were no intimacy coordinators there for. You were sort of just navigating those moments with the director, who was usually a middle-aged man. And it wasn't great. And I think that the role is so important and so needed. And I think that perhaps people are just kind of debating it because we're just in a transitional period with it. It's so new, it's so fresh. But often new roles, new positions like this, they do take a little bit of time to get comfortably embedded in our industry. But I ask for an intimacy coordinator as an actress. I always make sure one is there as a director, producer. And intimacy coordinators, they're not just there for the safety of the cast, they're there for the safety of the crew. They're there to safeguard the whole thing. And I think that's paramount. So, despite what you might think from the film, I am very pro intimacy coordinators.
It is a very interesting topic. I'm so glad we're talking about it, and I'm so glad you made this film. You're both the filmmaker and one of the actors in the film. How did directing yourself affect the way you approached such vulnerable material?
Mm. Well, I've directed and acted in quite a few films now, so I've kind of got my little system of how I do it. If I was to answer the question technically, we make sure that I have a mini monitor on our kit list. So it's like a tiny little wireless monitor that is close to me at all times, which means that I can stand on my mark as an actress and I can literally hold my little monitor and I can light and set the scene with my DOP that way. And then I do the scene. I let my first lady call cut and action. I'm not very precious about that. And then when we finish the scene, somebody brings the monitor over to me, and then I watch playback. So it is slightly more time consuming because you're not watching it in real time. I like to always make sure that there is a producer in Video Village by the monitor at all times, keeping an eye on things. And I also just trust the team that I've built around me. I'm happy to take a note from anybody, a boom op, a spark, a supporting artist. I think that, films and film sets should be super collaborative and open to anyone's thoughts and ideas. And then in terms of like, I guess how I feel as an actress in that moment. Usually, the film has taken so bloody long to get off its feet that if there's one thing that I'm sure about by the time I get to set, it's the character and it's the script because the intimacy coordinator took 12 months to finance and get going. So the character of Kate and what I was doing was one thing that I didn't have to worry about by the time we got there because I was so prepped in that department.
Just to switch gears, you assembled an incredible cast, including Lindsay Duncan, Kieran Moore, Sophie Simnett, and Alexander Arnold. What did each of them bring to the world you were creating?
I'm so lucky because Kieran, Sophie, and Alex have all been my friends for many, many years, and they were the people that I wanted to play those roles. I honestly didn't think that any of them would say yes because they're big actors doing amazing things, and ultimately these roles are a little bit small for them. So I was so chuffed when they said yes. Kieran, who played Max, I know brought a lot of his own experience to that role. The pressure of being a leading male, and same with Sophie, who played Ella. The idea of being actors on set, we are so worried about upsetting anybody. We're so worried about getting fired. We're so worried about, you know, not getting hired again or being classed as difficult. So I think that those two in particular could bring a lot of their own experiences as actors to those roles. And then Alex, who played Nigel at SAA, he actually went to an SAA meeting as research. So he brought very real experience to the project of what he saw during that meeting. So they were incredibly well prepped. And then Lindsay Duncan, I didn't know personally, but I'm obviously a huge fan of her work. Again, I couldn't believe it when she said yes, but that role, even though it's a voiceover role, it's so pivotal, that moment where Kate speaks to her mum, and it's essentially a cry for help, and Kate's mum misses it. And Lindsay did such a good job there of missing it, of missing the cry for help. So they were all incredible. I think that they are actors that can really balance humor with darkness, and I think that that's really important for this film.
Thank you for describing all that. It's so interesting. The film deals with control, it feel, desire, shame, and power. Which of those themes felt most important to you to personally tell, as a storyteller?
Interesting. So if I had to pick between shame, desire, and power, okay. I think I'll go with shame for this. Um, the film Shame was a really big inspiration for me. I loved Michael Fassbender's portrayal of sex addiction in that movie. But what I see for me personally, what I see when I see Kate for the majority of the movie is shame. Other people might view it differently, and I'm always so open to other people's interpretation. But I think that it's her shame potentially that drives her to her final act.
Interesting, interesting, Louisa. Congratulations. You recently won the Women in Film Award at Flicker's Rhode Island International Film Festival. What did that recognition mean to you, especially for a film taking on such complicated female sexuality?
Oh, it meant so much. I've made 7 films and I have submitted every single film to Flickrs and I've never got in. So the intimacy
Oh,
coordinator
wow.
was the first time that I got into Flickrs, a festival that I had been dying to go to for so long because I think that they program so beautifully. So getting in was amazing. And then winning that award, that Women in Film Award, it was so special. First of all, because you know, championing female and non-binary voices in this industry is such a passion of mine. Usually my films are 90% women in terms of production and crew and post-production. It's always what I wanted to do. I wanted my film sets to always be majority women. And I guess I have been nervous about the intimacy coordinator in terms of the award scape because it's the film is kind of messed up, and again, it's so hard not to give anything away, but
Yeah,
there is such darkness in this film, and in a way I kind of feel like the bad guy wins, But it didn't feel to me as much of a awards darling as
Mhm.
maybe Sister Wives did.
Mhm.
I have gone into this festival run with the intimacy coordinator with like very, very low expectations, just really happy to get into a film festival and to have it seen, and try to keep my expectations really low in terms of awards and nominations
Mhm.
because it's a dangerous film. It's a dangerous film to even program at a festival. So winning at Flickers was a big surprise and a real honor.
Nice. Okay. So, what do you hope audiences are taking away and talking about after they see the intimacy coordinator?
Do you know, I just want audiences to have a lot of fun
Yeah.
watching this. I think that it's a real roller coaster ride. And as I say, my other film, Sister Wives, I guess there was, a bit more of a profound message. And I mean, not that there isn't with the intimacy coordinator. I want people to come away with it, particularly in the industry, and, be reminded of the importance of safeguarding on our film sets for sure. And, keeping an eye on our own loneliness and our own lack of connections and, where could that drive us? Keeping our own, keeping an eye on our own mental health, on our own desires, on our own compulsions. But ultimately, I just want them to come out and go, well, that was a brilliant ride, and to have had some fun with it.
Yes. Well, I know I did, and I'm having a great time with you. And I know we're running out of time, but I do have to ask, after making something this intense and psychologically dark, do you immediately want to make something light and cheerful, or are you happiest staying in the twisted stuff?
I'm happiest in the dark. Yeah.
I thought you might say that because I know we're both fans of that genre. So
Yeah.
thank you so much. And
Thank you.
yes, I'm Valerie Milano, the HollywoodTimes.net, aspiringmagazine.com, and Louisa, keep up the great work. And you make sure you keep us posted on everything that you do because we are hooked on you.
Oh, thank you.
All right. Talk to you very soon.
Bye,
Thank
guys.
you. Bye bye.